Hi, everyone. I'm going to be going over some options for future careers that your child development degree can be a good match for. I'll be covering careers related to positive youth development and youth organizing, and I'll explain more what I mean by that in just a moment. I know you're reviewing this in week 12, but this might be the first time that we're meeting, so I just want to take a moment to welcome you to CSUSD and to let you know who I am. My name is Stacey Morris, and I'm an assistant professor, which means that I'm a newish professor at this university. I started here in 2020, and before that, I was in a researcher position at Arizona State University. And before that, I was in a PhD program at Boston College. I'm originally from Northern California, and I went to undergrad up north. And I am a proud first-generation college student and happy to be at a school that works to support its first-gen students. If you have any questions about figuring out your new school, if you want to talk about your career goals, or if you need help with anything, please reach out to me or any of your other child development professors. We're all more than happy to help, and that's what we're here for. I'm looking forward to meeting you and having you in future classes. In this presentation, I'll define what I mean by positive youth development and by youth organizing, and then I'll go over careers that relate to these topics. I will talk about how you can prepare for these careers through your child development major, through getting involved on campus, and other ways. Finally, I'll identify some considerations to keep in mind if you do apply for these jobs or jobs in these areas, and I will link some organizations that could have both resources and job, internship, or volunteer opportunities. Positive youth development and youth organizing are related but different topics that you will learn more about in your time as a child development major. They both have to do with supporting young people so that they can live good lives in supportive environments. Positive youth development, or PYD, is a framework of thinking about child development. In this way of thinking, we acknowledge risk behaviors and potential negative processes that occur in development. But we recognize that these risks are normal and natural instead of huge problems that can't be overcome. And importantly, under this framework, we try to understand the many strengths that young people have, along with the strengths in their environments that support their healthy development. We believe that when young people are able to use their strengths to benefit from the strengths of their environment, they then develop all kinds of positive things. For example, a sense of confidence, compassion for others, and so on. And ultimately, this leads to wanting to contribute positively to their communities. For example, being kind to others, helping loved ones, volunteering, or choosing careers that will make a difference in the world. In a career related to PYD, we would look to support youth strengths and or improve their environments so that we can help young people develop on positive paths. Youth organizing can be many things, but has to do with young people taking action in their communities, working to make changes to make their communities better. This can include mobilizing others to participate in making changes, creating important programs or resources in the community, leading and participating in social activism or protest, and so on. The important part to this is that young people are instrumentally involved in these actions, and preferably that they are driving them to some degree. They're thinking about the issues that are important to them, thinking about the ways that they're able to get other young people involved in a way that makes sense for their community, and so on. Careers in youth organizing would involve supporting young people in making positive changes in their community, advocating for youth needs, amplifying youth perspectives, and creating space for young people to lead. Part of this involves promoting knowledge and skills that are helpful in collective action or making big changes in collaboration with others. Careers in PYD and youth organizing both aim to promote positive development in young people and to create social change. Your work in child development will help if you have goals of promoting PYD or youth organizing. since in child development courses, we learn about supporting paths toward positive development. We do this by learning about what leads to positive outcomes. For example, what types of strengths, like having strong support systems, are connected to what types of outcomes. For example, feeling like your future is going to be a good one. Using a child development lens, we're interested in supporting PYD and youth organizing, since these support positive trajectories of development for young people. And by understanding research and theories on child development, you will learn tools that will support your future work in these areas. An important goal of both areas of work, especially of youth organizing, is to center or prioritize young people in the work, from thinking up ideas or issues that need to be addressed, to picking methods of addressing those issues that meet their goals, to important decision-making along the way. In this work, youth voices should be central to the work, which is not always the norm when working with young people. Oftentimes, their perspectives are not included, and their involvement is often pushed out. This work should prioritize young people as central figures in contributing to important changes in their lives. Adults should serve as allies, advocates, and accomplices in the matters that concern young people, rather than serving as bosses or rulers who know all simply because they're adults. Work in promoting PYD and youth organizing can occur in different contexts or environments. Sometimes there are places for this work in schools, but there are also many opportunities outside of schools, in after-school programs, community or rec centers, and especially in organizations that are specifically focused on serving young people. I've listed a range of organizations at the end of these slides, local, national, and international, to give you an idea of some organizations that support this work. There isn't just one job titled PYD specialist or youth organizer. These areas of work can be used as a framework or a state of mind to inform your work in any career where you're interacting with or impacting the lives of young people. Keep in mind, at the root of these careers is supporting young people's development and centering their perspectives. You can do this in your role as a data analyst working with research on adolescent health, as a teacher working directly with young people, or in any other position. However, I wanted to list different job titles that more directly and intentionally connect to PYD and youth organizing from the onset. Review these terms, and I would encourage you to do some searching if you think any of them interest you. Also, keep in mind that many organizations that impact youth in some way may have youth outreach or advocacy branches within them. So you don't have to single out organizations that focus on youth development only to support youth development. For example, an organization that I care about, the Human Rights Campaign, has career opportunities focused on promoting youth organizing, even though the organization as a whole is focused on LGBTQ rights. You will learn about topics related to these careers in many of your child development classes. In your introduction classes, you'll learn about broad theories related to how young people develop, and you'll learn about special topics like positive youth development. These classes listed here will cover socio-emotional predictors and outcomes of PYD and youth involvement in their communities, or civic engagement. They will also cover big issues that affect the lives of youth today and that young people today care deeply about. Additionally, you can take away many skills from these courses that will prepare you for these lines of work. Faculty in our department are also doing research and community engagement related to these topics. For example, I have a shared lab with Dr. Manpreet Dilonbar where we research ways of engaging young people, from adolescents to young adults, in their communities. We also work with different community organizations and are building connections to schools where we can put this work into action and learn how to support young people in their actions. If you're interested in this type of work, please go ahead and review our website and reach out to us if you feel like this could be a good fit for your interests and for your goals. Because PYD and youth organizing is interdisciplinary, meaning it doesn't just fit neatly into one field, but it can be studied from multiple perspectives, there are other professors on campus doing work that could be interesting to you. I would suggest exploring the education department, sociology, political sciences, gender studies, and other related fields. If you're interested in attending graduate school and doing work related to these topics, there are many professors in other universities studying these topics too, many even local to this area, for example at UCLA, Claremont, and others. There are plenty of ways of getting involved before you officially begin your career outside of college. You could familiarize yourself with communities in your area if you haven't already done that, and build networks of people who care about this work as well. For making community-level change, having coalitions of support is crucial. Learn from the young people in these communities. What are the issues that are important to them? Do they feel like adults respect them? How do they want to be supported? Start modeling or practicing important skills or mindsets for working with young people, prioritizing their perspectives and listening to them deeply so that you understand their experiences in their own words, involving them in decision-making, even when other adults might not be doing that, modeling the importance of self-care and boundaries, which is really helpful when doing work that can be emotionally draining, and other things like that. You could try out work in this area by seeking out entry-level positions, internships, mentorships, or volunteer opportunities. For example, working with young people in community organizations, after-school programs, or even in schools themselves. The resources posted at the end of these slides can help with this, but the keywords listed under related career options might also help. You can get involved in research positions that study young people or issues that impact them, and you can work to change the way that youth are involved or represented if needed. I'll reference a great method for youth research in the next slide. Additionally, there are many free or low-cost trainings that could be helpful to learning more about these topics or gaining skills related to PYD and youth organizing. I'll link to those in a moment. If you're interested in doing research to prepare you for this work, a method called Youth Participatory Action Research, or YPAR, is interesting, engages youth, and will provide a great platform for you to begin involving them in issues that impact them. In many methods of studying people, we don't include the people we're studying in our work. They are participants in this work. They might fill out a survey or do an experiment, but typically that's the end of their involvement. We, as the researchers, form the research questions, the design of the study, we do the analyses, and we figure out how, where, and when we want to present our results. In participatory action research, researchers involve the participants in the process of developing the study, getting their input on what questions are even important enough to consider asking, getting feedback on whether their interpretations make sense for those involved, and that's just some of the ways that you can involve participants in this work. This type of research tries to break down the power dynamics that often exist between researchers and participants, or the community members being studied. In YPAR, there's an additional layer of breaking down power dynamics, where the participants are young people and the researchers are usually adults. But in this work, the adults still work to intentionally involve the young people at every or many steps of the way. For trainings or more information on this type of work, follow the links in the slide. You can get involved in this type of research as an undergrad, but there are also positions available for those who have graduated in undergrad, people currently in grad school, and beyond. If you're interested in putting your child development knowledge to work by designing or running programs that effectively support young people, there are many opportunities to do this at different educational levels as well. Learning more about PYD and promoting youth engagement would be helpful for this. I've linked a few free trainings that cover the principles of PYD, puberty and adolescence, youth and technology, youth development programming, youth voice and engagement, youth work ethics, and then applying these topics to create and lead effective youth programming. You might also consider getting involved in community advocacy or engagement by seeking out the resources that we have at CSUSB. The Office of Community Engagement has many opportunities for connecting students to the community and getting them involved in volunteer or other types of work. They have connections to partnerships serving young people, particularly if that's of interest. They also have opportunities for connecting in person or remotely. Your child development major will provide you with many important skills that you can highlight in your applications and job interviews. And these will serve you well with your work with young people related to supporting PYD and youth organizing. Throughout your classes, you'll learn about child and human development. You'll learn about things that support their healthy and positive development. And you'll learn about effective practices for working with people. You might even focus in on one age group in particular, for example, adolescents, and this will give you a strong focus to bring into your job context. In our classes, you'll especially learn about the importance of context and how context, for example, schools, families, cultures, or other contexts can impact child development. And so you will take a sensitivity of context into your work with young people. Throughout your classes, you'll learn about real issues that impact young people and the systems that they're engaging in. And so you'll have an awareness of equity issues and inequity issues that are really relevant for working with young people. You'll learn to be a critical consumer of research, and so you'll be able to read research articles with a critical lens. And so this should help you make decisions that are informed by research, which are ultimately going to impact the young people that you're working with in a positive way. Throughout your classes and the experiences that you have in this major, you'll get to work directly with young people, and that will serve your work in your career as you're trying to navigate working with young people. You'll already have these guided experiences, and you'll learn in many classes to take a strengths-based perspective. And this is especially important with PYD and youth organizing, to recognize that young people have strengths, that they have their own needs, their own values and perspectives, and that those are important to consider when working with young people, instead of acting like or working with young people like they're problems to be solved or issues to be managed. In your applications and in your majors, you can also think about any relevant classes that you've taken that you can highlight skills that come up. For example, you'll be taking research methods classes, writing classes, and classes that require intensive reading. And so these classes will provide you with skills that you can highlight in your job applications, your career applications, but that will also help you succeed in those future careers. Other important strengths or assets that you can highlight and that might be especially important in these types of jobs and with working with young people are things like how well you listen, how actively or present you're listening to young people when you're working with them, if you've got any skills or experience in taking leadership, if you feel you've learned how to problem solve, and this can be highlighted through the classes that you've taken in child development as well. You might note some things related to yourself and your personality. For example, your demeanor, your energy level, how adaptable or flexible you feel you are, And these things can be really important and helpful when working with young people. Also be sure to highlight any evidence or areas where you've gotten to take on responsibility, since working with young people can be a huge responsibility and your employers will want to know that you have experience with this. On this slide, I've listed a range of different organizations, some in California, in different areas of California, and primarily in Southern California, and then other organizations that might be national in the US or international organizations. These organizations have plenty of resources that you can sort through to give you more information on PYD, on youth organizing, on youth community engagement or civic engagement, on the importance of mentorship for young people, and a range of other things. These organizations also provide entry-level positions where you can get started with an organization now, and they have opportunities for career advancement or advanced career development where you can get into the organization either once you've done a little bit of entry-level work or once you've graduated. These are only a few organizations that I compiled. There are so many that are open for child development majors, and so keep looking, find things that work for you, and don't be afraid to try different organizations and see what works. Thank you so much for reviewing these materials. If you have any questions at all, please feel free to contact me. My contact information is at the beginning of these slides, or any of your other professors in the Child Development Department. Like I said, we're all really happy to help. Again, welcome to CSUSD, and I can't wait to meet you, and I hope you have a great first year if this is your first year here.